Coming up today, the number of MERS cases in Korea continues to creep up, but the World Health Organization confirms the outbreak isn't a serious threat to the public. Despite strong objections from Korea's main opposition party, lawmakers will vote today on whether to confirm Hwang Kyo-ahn as the country's next prime minister. Plus, keeping rates at near zero for now, the US Federal Reserve signals it's still on course to raise interest rates before the end of the year. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello to our viewers around the world. It's 6 a.m. on Thursday, June 18th here in Seoul. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. We start with the latest on the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome or MERS outbreak in Korea. Despite the rising number of infections in the country, international medical experts say the situation is not serious enough to pose a risk to other countries and require a coordinated global response. The World Health Organization made the statement on Wednesday, saying that although more cases are expected to appear for the time being, the outbreak does not meet the conditions for a so-called public health emergency of international concern. The organisation said it won't issue any travel or trade restrictions for Korea, but did urge all countries to be more vigilant. Korea's health authorities said their primary goal is to contain the MERS outbreak by the end of the month and ensure the virus does not infect people outside medical institutions. As of now, 20 people have died out of the 162 confirmed cases in the country, and of the 123 patients who are undergoing treatment at hospitals, 17 patients are said to be unstable. President Park Geun-hye has met with a representative from Samsung Medical Center, the hospital in southern Seoul hit hardest by the outbreak. She asked that officials at the center be as transparent as possible to allay public fear over the virus. Choi Yu-sun reports.
Meeting with the head of the most affected Samsung Medical Center while visiting a state-run research lab in central Korea, President Park said controlling the MERS spread at the Samsung hospital will be pivotal to eradicating the virus in the country. About half of more than 160 patients are believed to have been infected from the Samsung hospital, forcing it to a partial shutdown. President Park repeatedly urged the Samsung hospital to be more transparent in informing the public about infection routes, adding that not sharing all the information spurs greater public anxiety and could hamper government response. This comes as the hospital was found to have missed an opportunity to prevent a spread of the virus by failing to keep track of everyone that could have been infected on its premises. President Park also called on the hospital chief to locate and test everyone suspected of the viral infection. The center's chief took the opportunity to apologize to the president and the Korean people for causing great anxiety in the nation, then vowed to cooperate with authorities to contain the outbreak. At the government's Central Response Headquarters, President Park urged authorities to be more cautious in studying the potential perimeters of the viral spread beyond the global standard.
우리 전문가와 행정 권한을 가진 사람과 거기 병원 원장하고 딱 이렇게 똑똑하게 모여서 어떻게 해야 될 건가 상황 판단하고 그다음에 필요한 지원을 접수해서.
Thanking all the staff at the headquarters working around the clock, President Park asked that they continue their efforts to prevent a further spread of MERS and to wipe out the deadly virus in the country. Choi Yu-sun, Arirang News.
Now, as the MERS outbreak becomes protracted, with thousands of people still under home quarantine, it is increasingly difficult for health authorities to keep track of them, and not everyone is staying put. This while a lot of people are choosing to stay home in an effort to stay out of harm's way. Shin Se-min reports.
The extended MERS outbreak is keeping people at home, but not everyone is staying there. Just yesterday, a man who was advised to quarantine himself at home after he started showing symptoms of infection left his home and boarded a fishing boat in Incheon for a local tour. After authorities located the 32-year-old, known only by his surname Kim, they called the boat back to port and transferred Kim to a local health center for monitoring. The 15 other people on the boat have not yet shown any symptoms of infection and have not been quarantined. Health authorities have instructed people in home quarantine to stay at home for 2 full weeks and minimize contact with other individuals. But it's getting more difficult for them to keep track of everyone and ensure that they aren't breaking quarantine. Already 4 other people under home quarantine have left their residences. Under the current law, people who break home quarantine will be fined 3 million won, or over $2,600. Some people, however, would prefer to stay put. Just this past Sunday, the number of people using public transportation dropped nearly 22% from 2 weeks ago when concerns about MERS began to develop. It's expected that the drop in usage will push down the transportation authorities' income by more than $1.2 million. Worried members of the public aren't going near hospitals either, even if they need drugs. Rather, a jump in sales of non-prescription drugs at convenience stores show that more people have been purchasing basic medicines there. With the MERS virus still spreading, it is unclear when the concerns will subside and the public will feel confident about going through their daily routines. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, in other news, after days of tough negotiations and heated debates, lawmakers at Korea's National Assembly will finally vote on the confirmation of Prime Minister nominee Hwang Kyo-ahn in just a few hours' time. Park Ji-won reports.
After a tug-of-war between the rival parties that has continued since Prime Minister nominee Hwang Kyo-ahn's 3-day confirmation hearing ended last week, the rival camps finally agreed to vote on the nomination on Thursday morning. The decision came after last-minute negotiations between the deputy floor leaders of the two parties Wednesday morning, where the ruling Saenuri Party agreed to accept the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy's demand to set up a special committee on improving the hearing process in exchange for holding the vote on the nominee. The ruling Saenuri Party was aiming to call the vote as soon as possible.
The confirmation of the Prime Minister nominee is an urgent matter that cannot be delayed any further to minimize the vacuum in state affairs.
The Prime Minister nominee has faced harsh criticism from opposition lawmakers who said he's unfit for the post. They said he's not qualified as he wasn't willing to be thoroughly scrutinized over a string of allegations against him, such as his exemption from his mandatory military service and accusations of influence peddling because he didn't turn in all of the related documents. They only agreed to go ahead with the vote after the ruling party agreed to set up the special committee on the hearings.
The special committee is aimed at resolving the long-standing problems with the confirmation hearing process that were revealed at Hwang's hearing, such as a sloppy examination of his credentials and institutional loopholes.
The new prime minister, if confirmed on Thursday, will answer lawmakers' questions on state affairs at the 4-day interpellation session that starts Friday. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se will visit Tokyo next week as Korea-Japan relations remain icy cool over the Japanese government's unwillingness to face history. It will be Minister Yoon's first trip to Japan since taking office in 2013. But will it be enough to improve bilateral ties? Hwang Sang-hee reports.
Korean Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se will make a 2-day trip to Tokyo as the two neighbors struggle for a breakthrough in their frosty ties.
Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se will visit Japan from the 21st to the 22nd of June to attend a reception marking the 50th anniversary of Korea and Japan's normalization of relations, which is being held in Tokyo on Monday. He will also hold talks with the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida.
It'll be Yoon's first visit to Tokyo since taking office in 2013. He canceled a planned trip at the last minute that year, following a controversial visit to the Yasukuni War Shrine by Japanese Deputy Prime Minister Taro Aso. An official at Korea's foreign ministry said Yoon's visit is significant as it comes amid efforts by Seoul and Tokyo to improve ties in the 50th year of the normalization of their diplomatic relations. On Monday, the Japanese embassy in Seoul will also hold a ceremony to mark the anniversary. Although the leaders of the two countries will not be present for the events, they are each expected to send messages. Still, there is little hope that Yoon's visit will spark a dramatic improvement in their relations. Korea and Japan are mired in a dispute over history centered on Tokyo's wartime sexual enslavement of Korean women. The official at Seoul's foreign ministry said that while the two ministers will discuss a range of issues on Sunday, he does not expect any groundbreaking agreement on the so-called comfort women issue. Hwang Kyo-ahn, Arirang News.
North Korea appears to be experiencing some difficulties operating its main nuclear reactor at its Yongbyon nuclear complex. The assessment was made by the North Korea analysis website 38 North after analysing satellite imagery from late last month, which showed no steam or hot water discharges, suggesting the 5-megawatt reactor is not in operation. It said the reactor, which has operated on and off since mid-2014, was now either running at low levels or not at all, although the exact reason remains unclear. The US think tank also said the North has been constructing a larger-scale light water nuclear reactor at the complex. Experts believe once completed, it could give Pyongyang enough plutonium to make about 5 to 6 nuclear bombs a year. The US Federal Reserve has opted to keep rates near zero for now, but says it is committed to raising interest rates before the end of the year. Speaking at a press conference in Washington on Wednesday, Fed Chairwoman Janet Yellen said that while no decision has been made about the exact timing for an increase, it will happen within the next several months. The Fed says the US economy is expanding moderately and is on track to grow between 1.8% and 2% in 2015. It also says the pace of job gains has picked up while the unemployment rate has been holding steady. Should the Fed decide to raise rates in the coming months, it will be the first hike since the 2008 global financial crisis. Greece's central bank has warned the country that it will likely exit the European Union if it fails to reach a bailout deal with its international creditors. The Bank of Greece says Greeks would face a deep recession and a dramatic decline in income levels without an agreement. The Greek government has confirmed it will run completely out of money by the end of the month unless its creditors agree to release $8.2 billion in bailout funds. Now, these stark warnings come on the eve of the latest meeting of European officials aimed at quelling this extremely serious crisis. Eurozone finance ministers will meet in Luxembourg on Thursday for talks that many are saying are the absolute final chance to reach a compromise. The authorities in the US have set a deadline for eliminating man-made trans fat in all food products manufactured in the country. And this move has prompted countries like Korea to follow suit. Kim Ji-yeon reports.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has given food manufacturers 3 years to remove all artificial trans fats from their products. Trans fat is formed when hydrogen is added to liquid oils to make solid fats, like shortening and margarine, used to enhance food flavor and shelf life. The agency expects the move will help reduce cardiovascular disease, the leading cause of death in the United States.
It's time to address and really phase out the remaining uses of trans fat in the diet so that we can reduce the incidence of heart disease and deaths resulting from heart attack.
The FDA categorizes partially hydrogenated oils, the primary source of artificial trans fat, as not generally recognized as safe. In 2006, the agency began requiring manufacturers to label the trans fat content on packaged foods. Other countries, including Denmark, Austria, Iceland, and Switzerland, have already banned trans fats over health concerns, and Korea is following suit. A study on trans fat by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety shows a significant drop in trans fat in local snacks in recent years. The amount of trans fat in the 147 snacks surveyed was 0.05 grams per serving, a 93% drop during the 7-year period from 2005 to 2012. 김지영, Arirang News.
Well, that's all we have for now. Have a wonderful day and thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you at the same time on Friday. Until then, goodbye.